How are you? We begin Critical Moves with Telesur. Welcome. Stay with us for the next minutes. Two countries of Asia to which the country sees as countries in dispute consolidate emerge. It is not well informed. The maximum authorities of China and India have left behind their historical differences to make conjoint strategies, not only thinking of themselves, but also in the stability of the region where they are. How is the geopolitics now going to be further ahead? Let's go into this. The past 10, 11, and 12 of October, Xi Jinping maintained a work meeting with Narendra Modi. The first impressions are these. The relationship between China and India are at a point of very healthy and ongoing. It keeps on having progressive advances, and there will be a more diverse exchange, cultural. We must go ahead to go forth with this relationship between China and India and set a route ahead. There will be a long-term relationship.
Y trabajar juntos para lograr la revitalización de nuestras dos grandes civilizaciones.
Our relationships have been witness of major stability. The communication has increased between both parties, and we will manage our differences with care. We are still sensible to the needs of the rest. Our relations will be an example of peace and stability for the world. What has been the most productive part of this for both countries as well as for the region? Let's see the details. In the context of the invitation set by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, to the Chinese President Xi Jinping, in Chennai, the second summit was held with their own work teams. The objective was to strengthen the conjoint work. Historically, they have had some differences, but now this new gathering is exposed to the dialogue between the two main authorities. This two-day meeting had as a main topic was the cooperation in the military aspect. There will be conjoint exercises of training to guarantee stability to the region. Additionally, there is the need to build a mechanism of commercial and economic that is worthy for both. There will be an increase in medicine, industries, along with other projects that will be of health, nutrition, cultural. This meeting with the Prime Minister of India was part of the tour of the Chinese president. Let's go to our digital websites that have reported this. Xinhua says, industrial synergy, new tendency to cooperation between companies of China and India. India is now one of the main destinies for Chinese investors that are globalizing. This cooperation is focused mainly in the commerce of import, export, and the industrial synergy is a new tendency of cooperation between the Indian and Chinese companies. The development of Paintum, which is the platform of digital commerce, the largest one in India, is an example of the ongoing development. With the cooperation, the strategic cooperation of Ant Financial Synergy Group is an important, Chinese electric commerce company, has marked a great difference. There is now new development strategies that are proven to be good in China. Another website we went to was Bloomberg. They said China and India will be the innovation of technology centers for 2035. The Bloomberg New Economy Forum held a poll, and this showed that there's optimism of the role of technology in the economy. There are some key points of this poll. On a global level, most of the polled think that China and India will go over the U.S. in development. 49% of those polled think that in the development markets said that they totally agree with the prediction that China and India will eclipse the U.S. giant in technology. There's a larger number, 59% of emerging markets assure that China and India will dominate this sector by 2035. Among them, it's South Africa with 73%, Egypt with 69%, and Saudi Arabia with 67%. Those polled in China were more reserved, in fact, of this affirmation. Not only 40% said that they'd agreed. Another point, 39% of the polled think that Beijing will be the main technology city for 2035. 45% come from emerging countries. Tom Ulek, the main economy for Bloomberg, said that the feeling that is in Peking and New Delhi is also reflected in the poll. The experts in new economy are totally aware of the forces, of the economy forces, as they try to take advantage of the new markets and technologies. The influx of technology will increase the economies. I'm going to take advantage to suggest an article called Between Rivalry and Business. It has been written by Enrique Van Hool, president of the Hispan-China Committee. Some years ago, it was popular that said that there was going to be a convergence between two countries. It was Chindlia. There was a professor who studied this, defined the concept of Chindlia as the following. Chindlia is the group formed by China and India, putting special interest in what joins them instead of what separates these two countries in the economic strategic levels. This is from the beginning of the 21st century. They're both complementary economies, as well as their convergency in foreign economy and the strategic interests. Both countries share a common interest, which is to favor the economic growth, increase the lifespan of their people, combat poverty. This is the great point of convergency between the two countries, and it should serve that for both relationships, that the relationship impose itself over the rivalry. Let's go to update the information related to this summit between the President of China and Russia. Nancy Peraza from Beijing. Here we have Nancy. How are you, Nancy? Hi, colleague, how are you? So nice to see you. When the authorities of China, as well as from India, they said that the informal summit between Xi Jinping and the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, has served to adjust the bilateral situation and try to square off the differences they have. Let's not forget that both countries are trying to ease off the relationship after some differences that were held 2 years ago. Although the problem was a border dispute between two countries. However, in this occasion, both authorities did not speak about the border differences they have, and they concentrated on trying to boost their economic and political relationships. Xi Jinping insisted that by stretching the ties with India is one of the main objectives of his government. And India says that a relationship between these two highly populated countries is beneficial for both countries, as well as for the rest of the world. According to somebody who was there, one of the topics that was treated was the way to eliminate the commercial deficit between China and India, which is $50 billion in favor of China, and how to increase the commercial relationship between these two countries. Let's not forget that the Pakistani Prime Minister was here, and this also boosted this problem. But they did not speak about the problem of Kashmir. However, previously Beijing said that that decision was incorrect, and they called for a dialogue between the two countries, try to solve this difference. We are sending you back the signal to studio. Thank you, Nancy. Let's go to our first pause, not before inviting you to follow us on our digital websites. We have our question today. Leaders of China and India have met to strengthen their relationships over their historical differences. What lesson does this move leave the rest of the world? Send us your opinion. Interact with us. We'll be right back. Let's geolocalize these countries that are considered two welterweight of Asia, China and India. India and China, two welterweights of Asia. China, geostrategic power. It's located in Central Asia with a surface of 9 billion square kilometers. It's the third most densely populated country. It limits with 14 states: Vietnam, Laos, Burma. To the south, India, Bhutan, Nepal, and Pakistan. To the west, Afghanistan, Turkestan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan. North, Russia and Mongolia. And to the east, North Korea. And it also shares maritime borders with some other countries. It's a continental power that controls a huge coastal area from Japan all the way to the Tonkin Gulf. Their coasts are bathed by two seas, the Eastern China and the Middle China. The first one is in dispute with China, and the second one is the most important maritime area of the world. It's economically important because of the abundant resources it has. fishing, hydrocarbons, minery, and it also produces solar panels, and its economy it's a major merchandise power. China has in its power many mineral resources.
Su producción de estaño refinado supone el 8% mundial. También posee otros
They also
como
possess magneta, molybdeno, mercury, manganeso,
zinc, cobre,
steel, zinc, and uranium.
El gigante asiático es el primer
This
consumidor mundial de energía y el primer
gigantic
productor
of
de
the
paneles
Asian
solares y de
country
turbinas de viento.
also
A partir de
produces wind turbines.
1996,
Ever since
China encabeza la lista
1996,
mundial
China
de las
leads the
producciones de
list
acero,
of
carbón,
steel,
cemento,
carbon,
fertilizantes
cement,
y televisores.
fertilizer,
Es el
TV
tercer productor de
products.
automóviles
It's the
después de
third
Estados Unidos y Japón.
producer of
Muchos lo
cards
consideran la
after
mayor
US,
potencia
Japan.
mercantil y
Many
económica del
think
mundo
it's
por su Producto Interno
the
Bruto
main
en
country
términos de
in
paridad y
terms of
poder
economy.
adquisitivo. En términos de defensa,
In terms of
tiene las Fuerzas
defense,
Armadas
it
más
has
grandes del orbe,
the
con
largest
alrededor de 3 millones
army
de
in the
personas,
world with
además
over
del
3
ejército
million
más
people.
extenso, con 1.600.000 soldados aproximadamente. Es una potencia
It's
nuclear
a
y cuenta
nuclear
con la
power
primera
that
marina
has
mercante
the
mundial.
first
China es una de las 5 naciones que
mercantile
fungen como miembros
army.
permanentes del Consejo de Seguridad
It
de
is also
Naciones
a
Unidas
permanent
con
member of the
poder de
Security
veto.
Council with the power of veto in United
India,
Nations.
actor de
India,
peso en el escenario mundial.
it is also a
De
welterweight.
ubicación privilegiada en
The
el sur de
location
Asia,
in south of
incrustada entre
Asia
los océanos
that is
Índico y
between the
Pacífico,
Indic
es
and the Pacific
considerada el
Ocean
núcleo
is considered
estratégico por donde
the
discurren las
strategic
líneas de
nucleus
navegación
through
del
where all of the
90% del
90%
comercio intercontinental.
of the
Limita al
intercontinental
norte con China, Nepal
commerce
y
goes
Bután,
by.
al sur con el océano
It
Índico.
has
Su frontera
borders
este
to the
la comparte
southeast
con
with
el Golfo de
Vietnam,
Bengala
Laos,
a
Vietnam,
través de una
south,
línea
India,
costera de más
Bhutan,
de
Nepal,
7.000
and
kilómetros
Pakistan.
cuadrados,
To the west,
con
Afghanistan,
Bangladesh y
Tajikistan,
Myanmar, y por el
Kyrgyzstan,
oeste limita
Kazakhstan,
con el mar
north,
Arábico y
Russia, and
Pakistán.
Mongolia. To the
Con una
east,
superficie de más
North
de 3
Korea.
millones de kilómetros cuadrados, es el séptimo país más
This is the
extenso del
seventh
planeta.
most
Por su
largest country
biodiversidad, la
largest
India
country
está
in
en
the
el grupo
world.
de 17
And it's
países
in group of
megadiversos, según el
17
Centro de
groups
Monitoreo de la
most
Conservación del
biodiverse
Ambiente,
of the world.
adscrito a Naciones Unidas. La de la India ha sido una economía
India
de
has
rápido
been
crecimiento y con la
a
fuerza de
rapid
trabajo más
economic
grande del
growth with
mundo.
the largest
Produce y exporta hidrocarburos como gas
manpower.
natural y petróleo, además de minerales.
It
Ha
also
desarrollado
produces
las
gas,
industrias textil,
oil.
química, de
It
procesamiento de
produces
alimentos,
a lot
piedras
of
preciosas,
textiles,
automotriz, software,
cars,
cemento,
software,
hierro y
cement.
acero. Es una de las 10 naciones con arsenal
It's one of the
nuclear.
10
Hace
countries
parte
with
del grupo de
nuclear
economías emergentes
powers.
conocido por su acrónimo BRICS, miembro del G20 y
It is
del
part of the
movimiento de
BRICS,
países
of
no
the
alineados.
G20,
Todo
and
esto la
part of the
convierte
group of the
en un actor de peso
non-aligned.
ineludible
All
en
of
el
this makes it
escenario global.
a welterweight
Ya
in the
muy
world
Cachemira,
scenario.
disputa
Let's see,
territorial.
Cachemira,
La
which
India
is
y Pakistán mantienen una disputa
terrible.
territorial por el estado
India
de Jammu y
maintains
Cachemira, que
a
también
problem
comparte
with
frontera con
Cachemira
China.
that shares
La India reclama todo el
shares border
territorio,
with
pero solo
China.
administra la mitad, mientras Pakistán controla un tercio. La India y China se han
India and
enfrentado
China
solo
have
una vez,
confronted
en
themselves once in
1962,
1962 for the control of Haiching,
así como por el estado
as well as
nororiental
for
de
the
Arunachal Pradesh.
for Arunachal Pradesh.
Vamos entonces a pasar al análisis.
So let's go to the analysis from Mexico. We are with Alberto Álvarez Bejar. He's also an economist. He's also a professor in the UNAM. He's an expert in presenting a good case. How are you, Professor? Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy.
Muchas gracias, doctor. Vemos entonces que se acercan cada vez más
Doctor, we
China
see
y la India, a
that
pesar
China and
de ese
India
conflicto
are coming
histórico
together
territorial
regardless
que
of their
tienen estos dos países
territorial
del Asia.
differences.
Bueno, el acercamiento me
Well,
parece que
coming
es
together
fundamental
is
porque
fundamental
por peso demográfico, peso económico, peso
because
militar,
regardless of their weight
son
in
dos países que
military
son
and culture, these both countries are crucial for the peace in the planet, not only the region.
Yo creo que es
I think that it's very important
que se abra un espacio
that the spaces for negotiation be opened
y de resolución de
and
los elementos
to
de
try to find a
conflicto
resolution
que
to these
desde la
conflicts
perspectiva global no son tan trascendentes, pero que como están
that in the big
en
scale are not so
disputa
important, but since
territorios,
they're in
pues eso
dispute,
puede tener,
then that could
puede resultar una
this
manzana
could result
envenenada.
in
Espero que
in
la
awful
noticia
consequences. I
realmente
hope
conduzca a un
that
arreglo
these
de
news
diferendos
just takes us to a Pacific negotiated outcome, because this would be great for the rest of humanity. When we see that there's a commercial war and the application of
a China, sino también a la India.
Yeah, for example, there are taxes both for China and India. Right after the integration that the country has been going on, I'm surprised that one of the most recent agreements between Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi was on military aspects. They even agreed on making practices between these two countries. This is joining both countries.
Pues sin lugar a dudas.
Yes, well, without a doubt.
Pieza sumamente importante.
It's a very important piece.
Se sabe que Estados Unidos dio un
We know that the United States took a shift in all of their, in all of directions. And they see China as an enemy. And they are displacing the Pacific float every time more. And every time more closer to the territorial. This is a very cruel game and extremely dangerous that pretends to frighten people. And of course, the temptation at that species.
Pues también puede derivar situaciones de extraordinaria
tensión turn out to be a very serious case for the planet, especially for the planet. So I hope that that the exercises regarding
por lo menos en términos de la doctrina, a que se conozcan.
Well, at least in terms of the doctrine, now we know about the orientations, what are the purposes, and that this could help to alleviate tensions within. And anybody who needs to run, let it run. This would be very difficult in situations like these.
Contenidos de Asia Televisión, analista geopolítico en Humo y Espejos y Asia en Movimiento. Marcelo, bienvenido también a la jugada.
Well, thank you, Marcelo. Asia is moving, as you can see, to an integration between China and Russia. Apparently, they are hearing what Iran says against the U.S. In fact, the president said it in the UN meeting just a couple of weeks ago. The Iranian president said the U.S. is not part of the Middle East. The problems we have here, we will solve them. And in the same line, I think India and China are reacting.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Sí, yo creo que lo que estamos asistiendo
I think that what we're seeing now
a un proceso acelerado
is
en términos históricos
is a very fast process in terms of historical members.
Como decían anteriormente nuestro invitado, había hecho un giro hacia Asia, tuvo hacia Asia, que
for example, I'm seeing the case
de Obama. Pero la llegada de Trump está planteando eso.
Is restating all of this. He considers that there's no capacity to be the world police, and they're trying to find negotiated mediation.
Que realiza públicamente, uno comienza a ver también que en realidad empieza a imperar cierto pragmatismo. Las últimas noticias de Siria. Cuando Trump anuncia el retiro de tropas y la ocupación por parte del ejército sirio de algunas ciudades que estaban bajo control con el apoyo norteamericano, empieza a demostrar que algo realmente está cambiando. Y en el caso de
India and China, I think China. I think that Russia has a proposal that's far different of what we thought would be.
No pasa por abrir mercados por las armas y sumarlos a su cadena productiva,
They don't want to buy more arms. They want to integrate us in a formula that is more win-win. And this is reflected in several options. Now, how does the President Xi Jinping going to ask Narendra Modi to help him and not to stop this pearl necklace that goes from China to the Persian Gulf? So this is the philosophy of win-win. Well, most surely, at some point, India had thought about the idea to do with Japan, with Australia, on how to make a counter route. But that wasn't very successful. I think there's some pragmatism between the leaders. They're both, let's not forget that China is the first. These are two countries that have to develop each other. The problem is that China still has a little bit of poverty and that they have to eliminate it in the next years. And in the case of India, India has a larger deficit of poverty, and they need to grow.
Obviamente generó un poco de desconfianza la ruta de la seda por la cuestión de Pakistán.
And of course there is this thing of the Silk Route.
Pero creo que es muy interesante las acciones de Xi.
I think the actions of Xi are very important in the sense of bringing down the distrust of both countries and propose a solution to the countries, like what India says, to open their markets more to importation of software or pharmaceutical products. So this might help to reduce the tensions and will be able to bring mutual trust and their differences, like the cachemira. Let's not forget that China has good capacity.
¿Qué obstáculos pudiera haber en el camino ya no establecidos entre la propia China e India, sino por terceros? Porque estoy revisando, lo decíamos al principio de nuestro programa.
At the beginning of the program, we were seeing this Bloomberg poll and said that China and India will be the centers of technological advancement in the future. Who doesn't like this?
Perdimos la comunicación con Marcelo,
we lost the communication.
Vamos a ver si el doctor Alejandro me escucha. Le formulo la misma pregunta prácticamente, doctor Alejandro. ¿Qué enemigos externos pudiera tener esta integración?
Who would be the enemies of this mutual strength that China and India are trying to have?
Y que se proyecta sean para 2035, según Bloomberg, centros de innovación tecnológica en el mundo.
Well, I think that the main affected would be United States. United States is in a situation that is very singular because they have commercial articulations.
Digamos, cadenas de valor en las industrias de alta tecnología, tanto con China como con la India. El problema es que la política proteccionista que está instrumentando Trump, lo que hace es fracturar esas cadenas. Y entonces, tanto China como la India tendrán que buscar una manera de desarrollar nuevos abastecedores.
They have to find new providers. And this is the problem of a commercial war.
Se genera una desviación de comercio. Los países están buscando dónde instrumentar sus nuevas cadenas de valor.
They're trying to find where to commercialize their products, and this won't pass through the United States.
Como están viendo digamos, pues casi diría yo,
Well, I would almost say that Trump is not honoring codes and agreements that they have, and it's difficult that these things will go through the United States. If we reconstruct chains of value, it will be to find direct alliances and development in terms of technology and innovation. And once this is in fact, there is no way back. It's not that a country decides to develop something and then they change it and they go back. This doesn't happen. I think they will find things that complement each other. Development. Personally, I believe that in the case of India, they have a population that is very poor, and it's a very big population that's poor. And I think this is terrible. And I think it's an economy that will need to be a bit more cautious, because the gap that China closed India still has a lot to do. They still have to save this poverty. So probably there is a benefit in infrastructure. That would be the route of the silk. But to complement the areas of high technology, especially in the software that must come along with it.
Sería un poco aventurado hablar de las potencialidades específicas de sectores.
But of course it would be too long to go into each one of the concrete aspects of each country that are stronger at. This would take more time. But I do think that they could have a possibility of complementary support, and there would be a way to consolidate an advance in the economic aspect with a policy of peace, because the other would be to bet
Tal cual. Bueno, doctor Alejandro,
on a disaster. Thank you, Dr. Alejandro.
Su disciplina para mantenerse así hasta el final. Se nos cayó la comunicación por un momento,
I'm
pero
sorry, I think that we had a problem with the communication.
El análisis, Marcelo, un millón de gracias también. Vamos a marcar pausa.
Let's mark a pause and we'll be right back.
Desde la geopolítica mundial, no solamente en esa zona del mundo, cómo se está poniendo
we'll see how
in
that part of the world
tengo un especialista en estudios. Recuerde que también tenemos
this
una
meeting
pregunta
has been
usted
taken.
puede opinar, usted puede participar con nosotros. Hágalo,
You
por
can
favor.
participate
De la
through
pausa,
us.
diálogo con mi próximo
There is a dialogue with my next guest. China and India are joined, as we heard at the beginning of our program, BRICS. How does this bloc of nations work in this geostrategic area? BRICS, that is made of Brazil, South Africa, China, is 40% of the global population with almost 3 billion people. Their growing influence in the world reflects the growth of economies such as China and India. To both countries, BRICS is a good tool to build a pole of development. Analysts agree that both countries will be the providers in terms of technology in the upcoming years. On the other hand, these two countries need resources of energy, as well as the other countries have agreed to satisfy their needs. China is the largest economy of the 5 countries that are part of this bloc. Their economy goes over the other 4 added up. While India has a commerce with the rest of the members of $95 billion. Their strength is both on people, on workforce, technology, pharmaceutical products, and there was also the creation of the Development Bank that could have their headquarters in Shanghai and a regional office in South Africa. It was approved during the summit of July 2014 in Brazil. The idea is that this credit institution could help build infrastructure. But you might ask yourself, how are the relationship between India and China throughout the history? Let me bring you a new look on this. Throughout the years, China and India's relationship has gone back and forth. There are 2 territories that are in dispute. Cachemira in the north of India. There's Aizkai Chin. After the colonialist imperial period, this land was taken by China. Ever since, India has demanded the right over these lands. In 1962, there was a military confrontation and China won. For Pakistan, this is Chinese territory. This is not the same for India. There is another part in the north of India. China says that territory is part of Tibet. However, it is over Indian sovereignty. They also want the sovereignty over the Indian Ocean. And now there is this new point of difference, which is this project of the Silk Route, where China is going to have a huge route all around the world. China knows that India could block this project because they have some territory in the route of the Silk Road. In the last years, there has been a strong relationship between these 2 countries. In the year 2000, it was $2 billion, and now it's $70 billion. And the economic field, we have gone to, this is what we've seen up until now. In the next part, we will speak with Simón Colmenares. He's a co-author of many laws, of economic laws. Thank you very much, Simón, for being with us. We spoke about how we've been speaking about the economic field, but this is not the only aspect in this relationship between India and China, but there's also a cultural aspect. Part of the BRICS aspect, but it's a perception that might distract a little bit. Another point that might distract us is that we see that there are 2 colossal powers, and this is in terms of population. But there's a lot of inequality. And China might, of course, take me ahead because they have a stronger culture, they have a stronger economy. They just celebrated 40 years of their opening up, and this diminished poverty in their population. They want to have a level of poverty 0. They have been able to get a balance
económico, cultural, político, social e incluso ideológico con otras regiones. En el caso de India, que comparte
in the case of India, that shares a big population, they have a bigger gap between poverty and the middle class.
Unos años antes que China como República Popular, 2 o 3 años antes. Sin embargo, ha existido un desequilibrio. Lo cultural juega allí un papel preponderante.
It's true that they became open like 2 or 3 years before China, but the truth is that they have a wider gap of poverty.
Son un país del Asia, pero muy
occidentalizado. Y prácticamente británico.
Let's not forget that they were part of the British Empire.
No de un presidente y de un primer ministro, sino de una corporación.
And they were under a corporation. So there's a lack of trust against everything that comes from the West. And this includes the U.S. too, because the U.S. supported UK. So what is true that one normally reads in some articles that say that Narendra Modi is a person whose personality, and I will reiterate, is unforeseeable because he can negotiate with Chinese as well as the United States. In fact, some people say that he is a snake enchanter. In fact, that is true. Because, well, many leaders are this. He represents a population. So I see that Narendra Modi, as a representative of the Indian government, does not interrupt a relationship with the U.S. He also has him as a friend. He has him as an ace under his sleeve. They know that the U.S. is not reliable. However, he could use it as a figure, as pressure. For example, with Cachemira,
el interés geopolítico de la zona es el mar oriental de China, Japón y el mar meridional de China.
O sea, que llegando hasta aquí, para despejar mitos, no es tan conflicto como se quiere reflejar por la prensa, sobre todo occidental.
Un conflicto que han querido mantenerlo,
a conflict that they've tried to keep, and it has been through interference because they allowed to distort the relationship in Kashmir.
Y China que tiene mucho que ver allí, es un punto neutro, ¿verdad? Entonces eso se generó. Inicialmente pues usaron la religión para ello, por la parte musulmana. Esa zona se concentra un 99% de musulmanes. En la parte
they have also a lot of Muslim people and other religions, Buddhism, and this divides a lot. And it's not so easy to consolidate people with different relationships, with different religions.
En el principio decía que se usó como injerencia para dominio, para dividirlos.
At first they thought it was to try to dominate them through religion. For example, the Muslims.
Son una relación desde el punto de vista teísmo. El teísmo es el Dios.
They have
monoteísta, o sea, creen en un Dios.
They believe in one God.
El budismo, para el budismo simplemente es la budeidad, la parte superior en el ser humano, pero no
it's just to believe in God, in people, in man himself. For Hinduism,
o politeísta, más allá, o sea, son muchos dioses.
There are many gods.
Millones, incluso más de 300 millones de dioses en una población de 1.000 y tantos millones, 1.380 millones. Entonces, tener una población de 1.300 millones de seres humanos, tener 300 millones, 320 de dioses, politeístas. Eso va a influenciar la cultura, las creencias.
All of this influences on the beliefs.
Tener más o menos la misma temporalidad de China y apertura.
And although the years of existence, they're basically the same.
Y también a nivel de relaciones de equidad juega un papel muy fuerte, muy
But
negativo.
The equality is not the same.
Secuestros también, pero de ambos géneros, de varones y de hembras, matrimonio forzado, violaciones múltiples e irrespeto a lo que es la muerte desde el punto de vista de la cultura de Occidente. Pero ellos tampoco están influenciados por la parte oriental, que es lo que ha beneficiado mucho a China.
Between some parts.
Esa paz interna que permite gerenciar
this internal peace that allows them to consolidate themselves as an industrial power. And they consolidate 30% of the world production production and the major growth of currency. In the case of India, the cultural part has also been very important. This would be to change the perception of a difference that is big. However, beyond diversity, this can go on.
Dadas estas características que usted muy bien acaba de retratar de uno y otro país, ¿cómo será posible entonces una integración que en el futuro próximo haga de esa zona del Asia como un punto focal de la geopolítica?
There could be a focal part. This has to do with the personality of Xi Jinping and also with Narendra Modi. This flexibility. In fact, they carry out a summit that has no agenda. It's not a formal summit. But what does this mean? Could you explain what does it mean? Well, the summit between the governments are official, but they could be formal or informal. Formal when there is a predetermined agenda. But this was so nice that they did an informal agenda with just liberty to talk. And the agreement must be such as this, like between brothers, between neighbors. India has lots to win from China that has already gone a long way and has shown that they're very strong. But they could torpedo the Silk Route.
Que eso le conviene más. This would tiene la India en la zona del Índico, si no recuerdo mal.
Sí, pero eso es más que todo estimulado por Occidente.
This is more pushed by the West.
Salida al mar que tiene China. China tiene su mar meridional, pero jurídicamente cuando se activan esas fronteras marítimas queda totalmente cercado. Por eso la ruta de la seda le conviene el mar meridional o el mar oriental hacia Japón para salir hacia el lado contrario, porque por este lado puede ser bloqueado. Eso son injerencias que han hecho el punto de vista de usar la diplomacia para acercar naciones
that the diplomacy has used to interfere between relationships, and this is only in the interest of the U.S., nobody else's. And of course, it's not in the interest of India because that would be blocking themselves.
Es un factor de seguridad que en la actualidad está demostrando que es a conveniencia. Entonces, China ha demostrado lo contrario, complementariedad. Buena vecindad.
China has shown that there is the win-win philosophy, and they've shown it also with Latin America and transfer of their technology. So this is very important in development. This is to walk together and grow in.
40% de la población del mundo, del cual la parte de China requiere mucho apoyo para mitigar la pobreza y salir de ese gran atolladero que le afecta muchísimo.
Y salvando China,
and saving China,
poblacional, como bien acaba de definir usted, a la
like you
India,
said,
se está salvando la región,
are we saving the region? Are we
indirectamente?
Sí, incluso directamente porque un conflicto en esa zona es lo que pudiera desatar algo mayor en ese mar meridional, usando las regiones, las naciones de la ASEAN,
if there were any more differences.
Incluso hasta Hong Kong. Tampoco le ha dado resultado todas esas revueltas.
No le queda de otra a Hong Kong que seguir perteneciendo a China.
No le queda de otra y se ha demostrado
they have
que
no other option.
Han manipulado mucho los
so maybe
jóvenes,
the young people have been able to manipulate.
O revoluciones de colores siempre son los jóvenes, la carne de cañón, ¿no?
Sí, por la parte que tiene que ver
on the part of the neurologic part. These are
para manipulación. Sí, desde ese punto de vista. Eso es lo que ha estado sucediendo, pero allí es importantísimo esa dualidad para el desarrollo sin injerencias externas.
Simón, un millón de gracias.
Simón, thank you very much for participating with us and helping us understand a region that you dominate to perfection.
Vamos a trazar conclusiones.
Let's go to our conclusions.
Coordinar acciones conjuntas
actions over the differences. Based on this principle, both China and India have started to work together. Is it that in the upcoming future, the Orient will be the geostrategical point of interest? Well, this might happen. While the West is trying to push confrontation and war, nations as China and India advance slowly but firmly to a world where there is no place for this. We come to an end to critical moves.